This tiny camera replaced my GoPro, and to be honest with you, I didn't think that it would. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the DJI Osmo Nano camera, which just released a couple weeks ago, and I was able to get my hands on it after the release. So I purchased this with my own money, and I wasn't sent this to review it or anything like that. And this is not a sponsored video at all. I paid hard-earned money for this camera. So I want to start with the obvious, which is the physical size of the camera. And you can see that it's got two different sections in it. So we're going to focus on just the main section of it, which is the camera. And you can see that it is the size of my thumb. And I have pretty big hands. So for some, it might be a little bit larger than your thumb, but for me, it's roughly the same size as my thumb. And although this is a very, very small camera, it still has a 1/1.3 inch sensor inside of it, and it's the same sensor that's used in the Action Pro 5. So you're getting the same quality out of the Action Pro 5, but you're getting it in a much smaller package. And the second part to this is actually the Vision Dock, which is technically what they're calling it. And this magnetically attaches to the camera on the bottom, and you can orient it in two different ways. You can either do it in selfie mode, which is what it's in right now, or you can flip it around and you can change it to more of like you're filming something in front of you. The touchscreen on this is actually pretty intuitive and it's very smooth. I don't have any issues with it, honestly. When you swipe down, you get all your settings to look through, and then you can swipe to the left and right, and you can see like your storage and things like that. If you were to swipe up, you can change the resolution and settings pretty quickly. So right now I have it set at 4K 4:3 ratio, but it does support 16:9, has 2.7K, 1080p, etc. And the reason why I have it in the 4:3 ratio is because this has the capability to film somewhat full frame. So you can use the 4:3 if you want to shoot for both vertical and horizontal footage, which is what I'm going for. The GoPro Hero 11, which I got rid of in order to buy this, had an 8:7 ratio, which was advertised as a full frame sensor. So this isn't quite full frame, but you can use the 4:3 to do both if you wanted to. Now this is going to be like a POV dream for people because POV content has become a lot more popularized over the last few years. And the issue that I have come up with GoPros is how big and bulky they are. And it's very apparent that I have a camera on me. I used to always get comments all the time that I looked like a robot. I was like geared up to the nines. And although it's not necessarily a bad thing because that is my thing, I do POV photography stuff, it is something to note for people who are like me and they don't like to draw a lot of attention to themselves out in public. So I like the more discreet form factor of this. And this is such a small form factor, but it has a lot of different mounting capabilities to it. So what it comes with in the box is this necklace pendant, which if you just magnetize it on there like that, you can see that it's attached. And then it also has a magnet on the bottom of the camera. So you can technically, if you wanted to, but this is more designed to have it on the backside of the camera. And this is a very strong hold. So this is a very discreet way to mount it to yourself. You just wear it underneath your shirt and there you go. The second way that it can be mounted is by this suction cup that comes with it. And one thing I think they don't advertise enough is the fact that this suction cup doubles as a way to mount it to a tripod or to a magic arm, because when you unscrew the suction cup, you can see that it has a 1/4 inch thread on the bottom of it. So you can easily attach this to any existing tripod that you already have or a magic arm, for instance. And then the third option that it comes with is the hat clip. This is my choice because I like to have the POV from my viewpoint, like my perspective. So you simply clip this onto your hat and then you can orient it in such a way where it's facing in front of you. It does kind of tilt up a little bit, so you do have to adjust it, but you can do that. Or if you wanted to, you can have it flipped upside down and you can have it attached to your bill, and then you can just make sure that the footage is upright when you go and edit it. The nice thing about this clip as well is it's also magnetized on the bottom here. So they do have it on the sticker, which I haven't taken off the pendant yet, that you can magnetize this to the pendant and then you can add the camera like this. I'm not quite sure how you would go about doing that. I think the intention is to give you the ability to adjust it like this, because I have seen people talk about the angle of the pendant not being very useful. And so you have to adjust the length of the pendant. But I think this clip is going to help fix that problem by giving you the ability to tilt your camera up and down however you want. So that's probably why they built it that way. I'm not entirely sure, but that is something to take note of, that you do have the ability to magnetize this. So off to the side here, I have a little desk mount that is metal, and I can magnetize it to that. I can magnetize the camera to it as well. So this can be placed in a lot of different places. I'm taking this out and about. I've put it on multiple metal surfaces, like the post of a sign. I've even put it on the side of my car to just kind of like view me from the car's perspective. I wouldn't trust the magnets on a moving car though. I would actually go through the effort of using something like a suction cup mount, but you can magnetize this to pretty much any metal surface out there. And it's a pretty strong magnet. You have one on the bottom here and you have one on the back side. So you can magnetize it to just about anything. So there are two different options you can get from this in terms of storage. There is a 64 gigabyte option, and then there's also a 128 gigabyte option. And I opted for the 128 gigabyte for a very specific reason. And that is, with anything that has internal storage, you're going to not get the full amount of storage that is advertised because of the software that exists on the actual device itself. So for the 64 gigabyte, I have no idea what that actual size is because I don't own that. But on the 128 gigabyte, if I swipe over here, it shows 107.6 gigabyte. And that is completely wiped. There's no footage, there's no photos on here at all. This is just the software. And this is something to really take into consideration because there's not going to be a whole lot of storage on there if you use the 64 gigabyte. However, the nice thing is on the side here, if you flip this open, there is a micro SD slot, expansion slot that you can put in a card, and then you can transfer your data over by press of a button. Now this transfer speed, I don't know what it is off the top of my head. It's not super fast. So that is something to also take into consideration. If you're doing a full day's worth of shooting, you're going to have to back up your files probably multiple times if you're using up a ton of space. So you just want to take that into account when you're going out. I have 3 different SD cards that are all 128 gigabyte worth of space. So I'm not necessarily going to have that issue. I can pretty much just dump this footage onto one card all in one go, and then I can just swap it out for another card later on. But this also eliminates the need to plug this into your computer to do file transfers, which is really nice. Next, the battery itself is fully integrated into the camera. So there's no replaceable battery on this. And that is another thing that some people may have concerns about, because with action cameras like the GoPro or the DJI Action 5, you have replaceable batteries. So if one dies, you take it out, you put in another one, so on and so forth. And that is the norm that I've been used to. But because this doesn't have that option, you really have to learn and adjust to what it's like to use it. Now, DJI does advertise this having a 90-minute runtime on just the camera itself. And then if you attach the Vision dock to it, you have a total runtime of 200 minutes. What they don't tell you is that it is for 1080p quality, not 4K. Yes, this camera can shoot 4K. It's fantastic, 4K 30, 4K 60, or 4K 120 if you want to do slow motion, but it does heavily reduce the battery life. And I did a few different tests on it, so that way you don't have to. And so I took this out with me on a walk with my daughter, and it was probably a 15-minute walk, and I recorded the entire time in 4K 30, 16:9. No D-Log, no nothing. It was just the out-of-box settings for this camera. And what I found was after 15 minutes, I had depleted a decent amount of battery, but when I did the math, it gave me roughly 45 minutes of continuous recording time, which does kind of track, because if you think about it, 90 minutes advertised at 1080p, 4K, kind of just have it. And then that way, you know, like, oh, I'm going to get about 45 minutes worth. Not only that, but when I took this out on a photo shoot this past weekend, I did get only about 45 minutes of recording time when I didn't stop recording at all. So this was continuous. And then I had to plug it in to the Vision dock, which would obviously charge it up, and then I could use it again later. The nice thing about the charging capabilities of this is it has a USB-C cable that it comes with, and it does support fast charging. When you do have the combined like this and you plug it in, the charging is going to prioritize the camera first and the Vision dock second. So you're going to get that full battery charge on your camera first. And the advertisement for this is that you're going to get about 80% charge within about 10, 15 minutes, let's say. When you are not using the cable to charge the camera though, you're going to experience a little bit longer charge time from the base to the camera itself. I think after about 15, 20 minutes, I had maybe 15, 20% battery on the camera. So it does kind of make things a little bit more difficult for longer shoots for me, but typically my shoots only last about an hour to hour and a half. So it's really all about the planning around it. And you can honestly just turn it on whenever you want to record something and turn it back off to try and preserve some battery. And what I really do like is because this is separate, I can press the record button right here and it will start recording the camera separately. So right now it's recording, but if I want to stop recording, I just click it again and it's going to stop recording. So you can have it set up in such a way where it's only going to turn on and start recording when you press this button, because these buttons are customizable in the settings itself. So you can toggle it however you want and be a little bit more cognizant of how much battery you're using while you're recording. Now, if battery life is a concern for you, you should honestly just look at getting the Action 5 Pro, because you're going to get the same quality, but you're going to have an interchangeable battery. So once one battery dies, you swap it out for a different one and you keep recording. Now, the quality of this, I've already mentioned a couple times early in this video, but this does have the ability to shoot 4K 60 and 4K 120 if you want to do slow motion. And this has the same exact quality output as the DJI Action 5 Pro, which I was going to get originally, but once DJI announced this, I was pretty sold on it because of the same quality. This does support 8-bit coloring, and it also supports 10-bit, which is the D-Log M. So if you want to get more cinematic footage out of this, you can turn that on as an option, and then you can color grade it in your post-processing. To be able to get the same quality out of a much smaller camera, I think is the best thing ever about this. And for those who want to have a more discreet, more portable camera that is an action camera, this is a really good one to look at. And if you already do own the Action 5 Pro, any accessories that you have for that is also compatible with this. So obviously you get the 3 that come with the Nano, but say you have any other accessories for your Action 5 Pro, they're all compatible with this, which I think is a smart move on DJI's part, because this is a whole ecosystem that they are developing. And so if you want to have just one set of accessories for all of your cameras, you can, and that's fantastic. I don't know what else it would be compatible with. I've only ever seen it referenced with the Action 5 Pro, but that is a really, really solid deal if you already own an Action 5 Pro. I think, again, what DJI could improve on is the marketing when it comes to this specific mount, because this is a 2-in-1 pretty much. You have a suction cup where you can mount it to the outside of your car, the inside of your car. I've used it on the windscreen of my car on the inside, and it's stuck for a very long time. It never fell off. I never had concerns. It has a ball head on it, so you can actually swivel it and turn it however you want. And because of the 1/4-inch thread on the bottom of it, you can attach it to anything. I can attach it to my Magic Arm. I can attach it to a tripod that has a 1/4-inch thread on it. I can really put it anywhere I want without the need of having to buy an additional accessory. Now, I've been talking about a lot of the great things about this that I've experienced so far in my use, but there are a few quirks that I do want to highlight. First and foremost, it has the ability to attach to the DJI Mic system. So I have the Mic 2. It is compatible with the 2, the Mini, and also the 3. So when you turn on your microphone, you just want to make sure it is in the Bluetooth pairing mode. And then you can see on screen, I have this little icon up top that's indicating that there's audio playing through the microphone. But watch what happens when I disconnect the camera from the Vision dock. It says that Osmo Audio is connected and that there is no video output. Attach the camera to get video output. So once you reattach it, you now get your live preview. And the problem that I have with that is the whole point behind the Vision dock is to give you the ability to frame your subject or frame yourself wirelessly. And if you want to vlog with yourself and use this system, like this whole package right here, you are going to have to frame up your shot with this connected and then disconnect it, put a camera wherever it is that you have it, and then start talking to camera. And I think this is an oversight that maybe they're going to fix in a future software update. I've heard people say that. And when I say people, I mean the people who got this from DJI directly and had a review video on launch day. I have never heard that myself directly from the company, so this is just speculation, but that is a quirk to think about because for me personally, I want to be able to use this as a vlogging camera. And obviously, if I'm using it as a vlogging camera, I want to be able to see myself, so this works in this particular case. But if I want to take apart the camera and put it on this little metal piece right here and I want to film myself, I can't see whether or not I'm framed up in the shot because I have the microphone connected. So if I turn off the microphone, I can see that it's not framed up very well. If I turn it back on, then I lose the visual, which I guess is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just an extra step that you have to do in order to use the microphone. The next quirky thing is about the file transfer. Now, I have transferred a decent amount of files to an SD card, and it all has taken various amounts of time. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes, sometimes it takes 10, others it might take 15. So depending on how urgent you need that footage freed up is, you might want to take that into account whenever you're planning your shoots or whenever you're using this, because this is going to be a very, very large file size to transfer over, especially if you have the 128 gig version, or if you have the 64 gig version, you're gonna have to transfer over more frequently to an SD card. So I don't know if they have the ability in the future, maybe with a firmware update, if they're going to allow you to record directly to the SD versus just relying on the onboard storage. But that would be a really interesting update if they do ever do that. I don't know if it currently does that, so don't quote me on it. But the next question is, if you do have that ability, are you going to be able to record directly to the SD card when they're separated? Because if you're wirelessly transmitting from here to here, are you going to be able to record wirelessly from here to here onto an SD card that exists only on the Vision dock? That'd be pretty cool. The next thing that you have to take in consideration is that fact that this is not built like the action cameras that you're familiar with. This is more of like, I'm just taking it around town with me and I'm going to put it in scenarios like I'm going to put it on my hat, I'm going to put it on my pendant, wear it, or I'm going to put it on my kid on the pendant and she's going to walk around the zoo and look at animals. But this is not for like the rugged scenarios that you would see other action cameras be put through, like cars kicking up rocks and dirt onto the camera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the nice thing is that it does have a replaceable lens cap right here, which also gives it a watertight seal, so that makes it waterproof. But if you were to crack this and unscrew it, you just got to make sure you screw this back on tight enough, because this is supposed to have a depth of about 10 meters of waterproof capabilities, and the Vision dock has no waterproof capability, so do not put this in water. I think it's just splash resistant, and that's it. In the box, you do get this little cage right here, which I think is just, it's kind of cute. I mean, it gives you a little extra layer of protection, and then the camera just slides in like that, and it's magnetic. So it's not really adding any bulk to it. It also doesn't really cause it any heating issues. So if you're one of those people that likes to do like skiing, snowboarding, skateboarding, those kinds of things, like active sports, and you want to use an action camera like this, you definitely can. Just beware that it is not as durable, as rugged as other action cameras like the Action 5 Pro. So you do want to make sure you're not going to damage this. Now, who is this camera going to be for? And I think that's a really good question that you need to ask yourself. Is this something that you're going to be putting in your workflow? For somebody like me who focuses a lot on POV content that I post on Instagram and TikTok, this is definitely going to be one of those cameras that is going to benefit me the most. For somebody who wants to do like lifestyle vlogs and stuff like that, but you want to have a very discreet camera, so you're not carrying around like a giant Sony camera or a slightly larger action camera, this is a really good option, especially if you're one of those lifestyle vloggers that likes to put your camera up on certain places and like walk by the camera, talk to camera from a distance. The fact that this has a magnetic capability allows you to do that. You can literally put this on a street sign and you can just walk up and talk to the street sign. You do not need to own a tripod, basically. But this is going to be a much more discreet, much more convenient camera to use. Like, I've even found a lot of convenience in taking this with me to places because I can just put it in my pocket. It fits in my pocket, and if I want to use it, I pull it out real quick, click a button, and it starts recording. When I'm done, click the button again, it stops recording, it turns off on its own in 3 seconds, and then I put it right back in my pocket and I go about my day. This is such a convenient, low friction camera that anybody can use. So if you're somebody who creates content professionally like I do, or if you're just somebody who wants to do a little bit of documenting of day in the life of your family and you want to show people from like your kid's perspective. Like I have a toddler, so I put this on her and she like ran around with it. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like if you just want to do silly stuff like that, like this is a really good camera for it. And it's not super expensive. This is $330 for the 128 gigabyte or $300 for the 64 gigabyte. And honestly, the $30 difference, it makes more sense to just get the larger version of it because you just have more storage. Now, in terms of actually getting this camera, because if you don't know, this is not available in the United States. But how do I have it when I live in the United States? The only place that I could get it from was Amazon. And on Amazon, I will leave the link in the description down below for you because it's their official link. And they do have official resellers that sell this for them in the States. And I've also heard other people get it from B&H. So I don't know where else you can get it right now, but because there's currently issues between DJI and the government in the United States, you can't get this directly from DJI just yet. Now that could change by the time you're watching this. It could be available anywhere now, but this does pose a critical issue for those in the States who are using this. If you need any sort of warranty repair or service on this camera specifically, you will have to send it overseas to get it repaired because that type of support isn't offered in the United States because this technically is not allowed in the United States. So I don't know if me holding this is illegal, but yeah, that is something to consider. I almost had to wait a whole month to get this because it sold out very quickly on day one. But luckily I had to order in just in case it took me a month to get it. And then a reseller of DJI came online saying, hey, we have some in stock. So I actually bought it a second time, got it in the mail the next day, and then I canceled my original order because I don't want to wait for a month. So I actually got this from Amazon. Again, I'll leave the link in the description down below. I'll also leave the link to B&H if they have it, but I'm not entirely sure if they do. So if you do want to pick this up, just keep an eye out on it because it's going to be a long wait. If you're okay waiting 4 to 5 weeks, that's the typical turnaround time that I'm seeing resellers have it at. But do not buy this for more than what it's actually worth. I have seen some resellers on Amazon double the price of this on purpose. I don't know why. I think that's really scammy, but $330 for the 128 gigabyte. I think this is a well-rounded device for the price that you're getting it at. And I think that because I was looking at the Action 5 Pro, which is $350, this is a really good substitute. Same quality, slightly cheaper, but a lot more use cases. Because I feel like with action cameras, there's a lot of use cases for it, but this is more discreet. If you do need more rugged durability, if you need interchangeable batteries, if you need more storage, like you want to be able to record directly to an SD card, not do internal memory, you should not get this. You should honestly just get the Action 5 Pro if you want the same quality. Or if you don't want DJI in general, I don't even know why you're watching this video, but there are other cameras out there that you can get that will be better than this in those areas. But when it comes to the form factor, the size, along with the quality and price, this is really directly competing against cameras like the Insta360s. And I think this one slightly edges out against them because of the fact that it does shoot log footage. So that's pretty cool. But this is just my initial review on the camera itself. If you want to learn more about the DJI Osmo Nano from my perspective, because I'm not being paid to say any of this, let me know in the comments down below. I haven't messed around with the settings a whole lot, so I wanted to get this video out after just about a week of using it so I can give you my initial thoughts on it. I do plan on making more videos in the future to go more in depth on this camera specifically because I want to go through like settings, user guides, stuff like that. You know, the technical things that people need help with. But I didn't want to just sit here and read off the specs list and bore you to death. I want to bring you real world example of how I use this camera. And then along this video, you would have seen some footage from different things I've done with the camera already, and there's only going to be more. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you got value out of this video, please let me know by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more, subscribe to the channel. And on that note, I will see you all next time.